becomes a father, he's called upon to make sacrifices for his family. And often these will be small sacrifices. Sometimes they'll be larger, though, more significant. And on even rarer occasion, the duties of fatherhood will require him to make the kind of sacrifice that up to that moment, he would have thought himself incapable of making. These are the moments when a man must become a hero and when he must lay his very life on the line. And this may take...
And none of those which include going to the movies. Like, I'm sorry, but if that's like the bravest thing a dad can do is watch something that he doesn't like for his children, my dad would be a platinum medal, like, champion. I have watched so much stupid shit when I was a kid. And some of which certain movies I watched like over and over and over again. And that man's got patience of a saint.
Many forms. Perhaps he's rushing into a burning building to rescue his child from the fire. Perhaps he has to pull his loved one away from the...
Why are you comparing watching a movie to any of this?
Tied to the tracks to go to a movie theater and watch Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Now, a man in that situation would, of course, much prefer to be engulfed in flames or hit by...
Oh, that's when you're wrong. Okay. Now, I'm a big Sonic fan. I played all the games. I'm not really an older millennial, but I'm like in the middle, right? So, I played Sonic. I was there for like the original one. I know for a fact that if I lived close to my dad, he would be stoked about going to see Sonic the Hedgehog. He used to play the games with us kids when we were younger. So he was like... He knows enough about Sonic to really enjoy it. You know, he enjoyed the games, and I think he used to watch a cartoon with us. So I mean, he would much rather definitely go see Sonic than against Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh is gonna make a hill bananas. Content is content at this point. Like I don't think anybody really takes Matt Walsh seriously. And if they do, oh boy.
By a speeding train, but that would be the coward's way out. He endures Sonic the Hedgehog 3 for the sake of his children, whom he loves. And over Christmas break, that is precisely the situation that I found myself in. Now, for the record, I'll say I greatly enjoyed most of the time that I spent with my wife and kids these past 2 weeks. We had a lot of fun together. We played football. We played outside. We shot BB guns. We played card games and board games. I completely wrecked my whole family in Monopoly 2 nights in a row. Wasn't even close. We took the kids ice skating. I was ice skating. My wife and kids were left...
Okay, so you had family time.
Gracefulness and elegance on the ice. They
As you should.
That,
they're your family.
They were thinking it. These were all wonderful experiences, yet things took a rather distressing turn on the final Thursday of the break when my 8-year-old son and 5-year-old daughter asked me to take them to go see Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And I did. God help me. God help me. I did. Now, before I offer my brief review...
Half of these channels make up shit to appeal to their fans, mostly bots. They don't actually believe what they're saying. Oh no, I know they do. I know. But I can't imagine having your content, as a creative person myself, have your content revolve around appeasing a certain group of people, knowing that you will never have the freedom to expand your content, to try new things, and you are forever trapped in this bubble. Just the grifting culture on YouTube is also a thing to behold to, because you get grifters like terrible, like worse than Matt Walsh. And I don't want to be praising this man, but I'm just kind of curious what he's going to nitpick at, because, again, I'm a big Sonic fan, played all the games. Sonic 3 is actually taken from Sonic Adventure 2, which I own both copies of. I have the original Dreamcast one, and I have the one from Steam, as well as the first one. Same thing, Dreamcast and one from Steam, the special edition. So I already pretty much know what's going to happen in the movie, at least a little bit. I mean, they're taking some liberties, but...
Of this thing that I hesitate to call a film, I must first acknowledge, in all fairness,
Much like how we hesitate to call
I
you a
never
content
saw
creator.
Sonic the Hedgehog 1 or Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's possible that one cannot fully appreciate the narrative complexities of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 without having seen the first 2 chapters in this epic Hedgehog saga. Maybe the other 2 movies are works of staggering art.
Oh no, like I said, we know that already. Is they try to, make them appear to be better people, even though they're just as deranged and debauched as the rest of us. We know that. It's just really funny to see how they try to staple that mask on. You know what I mean? Like, there are points in when you watch them where the mask like slips and falls off, and they rush to try to staple it back on to appear holier than thou and like they're the better people.
Artistic genius that would elevate the 3rd installment and lend it the sort of context necessary for me to have appreciated it and enjoyed it, instead of feeling like I was being waterboarded with high fructose corn syrup the whole time.
Well, then that means you never played the games.
This is the kind of movie where Jim Carrey plays 2 characters. One is the evil villain, and the other is the evil villain's evil grandfather in old age makeup. And the 2 break into an impromptu dance routine that makes no narrative sense, but lasts approximately 8.
Dr. Robotnik has always been a silly man that does silly things, and then do not so silly things like turn animals into robots. And then you got Gerald. Gerald Robotnik is that. Arguably, Gerald Robotnik is worse. But I mean, Jim Carrey has the chops to pretty much play 5 roles. Like, there are very few actors I would arguably say have the talent and the skill to play 5 characters in a movie or show. Tim Curry and Jim Carrey. So, I mean, I like Jim Carrey. I've always been a fan of Jim Carrey. Like, one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies is actually called Cable Guy. It is such an underrated, like, dark comedy, and I think more people should watch it.
87 minutes. It's the kind of movie where those same characters before the dance routine actually look directly into the camera and explain that they're being played by the same actor.
Yes, it's called Breaking the Fourth Wall.
That there is nothing in the other 2 films that would make this one any less obnoxious or horrifically stupid. I'm not going to bother explaining the plot of this film in any detail. I wasn't tracking it that closely, to be honest. I was mostly fighting to stay awake. This is the kind of movie that...
So see, this is why I say that you're not really going to get any spoilers out of this, because he literally did not pay attention. He's just picking something to bitch about, which makes this all the more sad and funny. That's what I mean. Like, it must be a really slow news day in order for him to be like, oh, I'm not paying attention, so I'm just gonna complain about Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I mean, the whole thing about why they made the Sonic movies anyway is because it's not just for, like, older fans like me, milf-aged, who played, like, through all the Sonic games. It's for, like, the new fans, too. You know, that's what... if you're going to make a movie based off of a established property, that's what you would do, right? And he just complain.
Bores you to the point of putting you to sleep, but also annoys you at the same time. It's kind of an odd combination to be both.
Just say you don't know what's going on, and it's too advanced for you.
As for the plot, I can only tell you that Sonic is the good hedgehog, which you may know.
Yes.
There's also an evil hedgehog voiced by Keanu Reeves, who, and I like Keanu Reeves, by the way, but like every other voice actor in this film and most voice actors in most children's films that have been made for the past 20 years, he has no talent as a voice actor and doesn't understand how to act with just your voice. But he's famous, so that's good enough, I suppose. So Sonic has to stop the evil hedgehog and his evil cohorts, that's the Jim Carrey dancing duo I mentioned earlier, up the world with a big laser. And this has been the evil plan of every evil villain in every blockbuster franchise film for the...
It's also the evil plan of Gerald Robotnik in Sonic Adventure 2. But I like Keanu Reeves. I mean, I like him as an actor. Was he the best pick for Shadow? Probably not. But I mean, at the very least, Keanu Reeves doesn't phone it in. And I hate agreeing with somebody like Matt Walsh. But yes, it's been a big problem, not just recently, but for the last few years, that they would hire famous people to do voiceovers instead of hiring voice actors to do them. And that sucks. Like, having a good VA for a character when you have an animated property is something that we just don't do a whole lot anymore. I mean, if you guys remember, Jack Black has been in, and I like Jack Black. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy Blackjack. Blackjack. I mean, I enjoy Blackjack too. That's a good game. But no, Jack Black. His voice is pretty much everywhere for like a brief time, just because he's famous.
Past 3 decades. It's a formula that this movie is not interested in deviating from. This is not the sort of movie that deviates from formulas. Now, if you're wondering why the evil hedgehog and the 2 Jim Carreys want to explode the world and murder 8 billion people in a cosmic blast that they will also die in, it's because the older Jim Carrey's granddaughter, I think, was killed.
Yes.
And now he wants to commit murder-suicide because life isn't worth living.
Yes, actually. Okay, this is a spoiler for Sonic Adventure 2. But it's like literally within the first few minutes of the game when you unlock 5 minutes of Shadow's backstory. Is literally just the gun organization coming in, axing Maria, and then Shadow wanting revenge on humanity. And then, of course, Dr. Robotnik is like, oh, well, again, spoiler, Maria is my cousin, and Gerald Robotnik's my grandfather. Tell me more about his space station. Yes, great. I shall do. The terrorism now. So, I mean, it's not really much of a spoiler, I guess, if you play the games, and like literally it's like right there. But yeah, the gun organization comes in and screws everything up because that's what Gunn does best.
That's real. That's in the movie. He actually declares his suicidal intention as well. Now, if that seems like weirdly bleak and dark for a kids' movie where the characters bust out impromptu dance routines and randomly break the fourth wall,
but dark subject matter has always been in children's media. I want to say in recent years, but I know that's not right because I do know we kind of softened that darkness a little bit for a period of time, but then we started bringing it back just with a different path. And a lot of that path, of course, has to deal with trauma. It has to deal with loss and all that. But yeah, 80s children movies, who knew, are notoriously dark for children. Sonic Adventure has always had kind of a dark theme anyway, especially Sonic Adventure 2.
Constantly speak in internet lingo from 2019. There's a lot of that, by the way. Just as one example, at one point, Jim Carrey says, "Damn you, autocorrect." If it seems
I say that all the time.
Dark for that kind
literally,
of
I am all thumbs when I'm typing to anybody.
This is a movie, like so many kids' movies these days, that schizophrenically darts back and forth from being ironic to painfully self-serious to goofy to earnest, and so on and so on. It doesn't try to smooth over these tonal transitions with good writing or performances. The writing is just terrible, and the performances are atrocious across the board. Instead, it just flings it all against the wall haphazardly, because these are all bullet points that the movie studio knows it has to hit. Because this movie, again, like so many kids' movies these days, is not the fulfillment of anyone's creative vision. It is just the product of a corporate algorithm.
I'm happy that we have the Sonic movies. They may not be the best, and they might deviate from source material, but it's kind of like watching any DC or Marvel movie. They have just enough creativity to kind of deviate from everything, but these are still characters that you enjoy seeing on the big screen. Not only that, but there's been quite a few good movies that came out recently. Like one of them is Wild Robot. That movie is actually beautiful. Like the animation and everything for that. Thunder. Thunderclapping. But yeah, I've been kind of, and I hate to agree with him on animation. We have gotten some weird mixed animation too. And when I say by weird mixed, I mean for every like really good movie, you're gonna have like 5 crummy ones. But recently, they've been doing a little bit better with, especially with movies with established properties. Plus, I want to touch on too that at least Paramount listens to its audience. Like, does everybody remember Ugly Sonic? Like, when I remember when the first movie came out and they did the teaser trailer for it, you had Ugly Sonic, and then enough of us like went online and went on Twitter and we were like, "Hey, this isn't. Do not give the hedgehog teeth. Do not give him teeth. He looks weird." Like, hold up, let me pull this up. I am gonna pull up A Thing of Nightmares Past. Ready? That is what we could have had. Again, thank you, Paramount, for actually listening to us and changing him. Because that is my paralysis demon. And we don't claim this energy here. I can't look at this anymore. I'm done. I'm not. Gosh. But I also too love the Easter eggs and other stuff that they put in the movies. So I mean, again, even if the movies are kind of okay and they deviate from source material, at the very least there's some heart behind it. And I'd rather see that than whatever Matt Walsh is talking about.
It is loud and ugly and obnoxious and disjointed.
Oh, he's making this way too easy. Should I roast him? Should I take it easy on him? Or should I just say that he's calling himself out right here? I feel like the call is coming from inside the house.
Nobody who made the film actually cared about making a good film. And they have absolutely no respect for their audience. We are at a point. If they start making movies with AI, we would not know the difference because they've effectively been doing that for 20 years.
Do you know how dumb you sound? Like, there's a thing too. Recently, a lot of people have been roasting it about this terrible AI movie. Oh yeah, there's from Saberspark. First AI movie has been released and it sucks. Yeah, let's get through this.
Now, you might respond here, as many people on Twitter did after I gave a very brief review of this film in a tweet on the site a few days ago. You might respond that, well, this movie isn't for me. It's for kids. Well, first of all, I can tell you that my kids were by far the youngest people in attendance. There were multiple groups of adults. Just adults, no kids. Whole group.
Yeah, because they're probably millennials that enjoy Sonic. Which is the reason why I went to go see Sonic.
Groups of them who bought tickets to Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Yes, people like to enjoy life, Matt Walsh.
Grown adults who got angry at me on Twitter for not liking the movie. The funny thing is that a lot of those same people say, well, it's not for you, it's for kids. Why are you getting so upset about it then? Why are you tearfully defending a movie that you claim is not for you either? In fact, one person told me that
because you're not actually giving a critique.
My negative comments had upset, and I'm repeating this phrase verbatim, had upset the, quote, Sonic community. Now, those are not kids who identify themselves as members of the Sonic community. My 8-year-old loves Sonic, but he's not on Twitter furiously defending the Sonic community from its detractors.
I mean, people are allowed to enjoy life, Matt Walsh.
So I agree that these kinds of movies are for kids, but I am not the one who needs to be told that, okay? Second, and this is most important, and it shouldn't need to be explained, but really it does. And that's really my only point here. It is possible to make a children's movie that, although it's for children, is still a good, high quality piece of art.
Yes. In fact, we had a couple in recent years. One of them is Wild Robot.
I don't hate children's movies just because they're for children. Quite the opposite. As a father of 6, I've watched many, many children's movies. Okay,
It sounds like you dislike things just to dislike them.
I greatly appreciate the good ones. A few nights ago, just as an example, we watched the movie Iron Giant with my kids, and that's
yes,
that's
Iron Giant is based.
Film. It's also well written, beautifully illustrated, brilliantly performed, tonally consistent. It's funny and heartwarming, and at points it's sad, but it works all of that in a way that feels natural to the story. It's a children's film, and it's also a great film, one that I can watch and also enjoy. Because as it turns out, children's movies are not just for children. They're for parents too, or at least they should be. Okay, if a kid's movie...
So what you're trying to say is that kids' movies should also be for adults, because I'm hoping that the parents you are bringing up in the conversation are adults, which means that kids' movies are for adults and children, which means you're worried over a hill of bananas.
Your kid's show is so grating and so dumb and so unpleasant that parents can't stand to be in the same room while it's on. That doesn't mean it's for kids.
Okay, but like, okay, I'm gonna throw this example out because, you know, even if you don't have kids, I think you kind of like understand where I'm gonna go with, because we were all kids once. Our parents had to watch some of the dumbest stuff that we had on TV, I'm sure. And a lot of that stuff were like toddler shows. Like, we all grew up with things like, Sesame Street was actually good. You know, I'm not bringing that down. But we had a lot of shows for toddlers. You know, we had Arthur, we had stuff like Wishbone. I watched a lot of PBS growing up. I'm a millennial, so of course. So, a lot of those toddler shows are going to be grating for the parents and adults. So you're trying to say that your children shouldn't watch toddler shows? Like Cocomelon or Paw Patrol? Because you don't like them? I don't understand what your argument is with this. Man, you must be really fun at parties. Like, okay, Matt Walsh actually kind of screams to me the type of person who, if you're at a party, like, he'll literally find anything about the party to get angry at. Like, the streamers are too long. The potato chips are too crunchy. There's too much ice in my cola. My guy, do you ever, like, enjoy things?
It isn't for kids. It isn't for anyone. It's just bad. And the fact that people say, well, of course it's bad, it's for kids, tells you everything you need to know about...
I will say this, I do agree. I think children's content does deserve more. I really do. But the way that he's framing everything is just not it. But then again, you know, it is a popular movie, and it is something that people get really passionate about things that they like. Who knew?
Our culture. They act like it's ridiculous to expect the content produced for kids to be high quality or to have any artistic merit.
No, what's kind of ridiculous is you admitting that you didn't pay attention and to actually nitpick everything that's going on, even though you didn't pay attention.
It should especially have artistic merit, which is why I hated Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and why it is today, I must say, sadly, canceled. The show.
Yeah, no, we don't plug you in. Nope. No plug in. No. You get no plug in.